I've got one student. That's good.
Hey, you're on campus.
Yes, for now.
I wasn't sure if you were still stuck in Canada or something.
No, I made it back in July. I made it very, very smoothly, I have to say. So just to give you, we have a couple of minutes. When everything started, I was driving, I literally, once we kind of closed down for the March break, I was driving to Canada to see my son. And as I was driving, I was thinking, they can close the border. But then I thought, well, I'm going to be teaching online for now anyway. So it didn't even click completely. I got home, they closed the border. I finished the semester from Toronto. And then at some point I was like, I need to go back because I need to prepare for this one. So Professor Bosch, who is the chair of our department, as you know, gave me a very long letter explaining how much they need me here. And I was so scared to go through. And I went through and it was super easy. They just like, yeah, you can go, you work here. So here I am. I'm going to, I may go back because I'm teaching online anyways. And, but for now, it's just kind of really, really interesting to be here. So, yeah. How was everyone? Yeah.
The physics department, the professors there, because I'm taking astronomy, but the physics department professors have a betting pool. Like it's the Super Bowl of when are we going to get shut down? And most of them are thinking somewhere in mid-October. I'm like,
Oneonta sent all their students home today.
who did?
Oneonta sent all of their students home
Really?
today. I got the text during our class earlier.
Oh my God.
While we were in Bosch's class, I got a text from my friend saying that they sent Oneonta home.
10% of Oneonta tested positive.
What percent?
10.
Oh my God. That's just crazy. Yeah.
Be very careful. How many, Natalie, I know you're on campus. Who else is on campus? You are, and you are. Okay, Emily. And Azul is as well, I know that, yeah. You've got a nice painting there, the kiss, Mercedes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a full class. I have 15, I think there are 15 of us. And the class is capped at 15. So this is going to be very interesting. Last time I taught it, I had what, 6 or 7 people? So.
Yeah, it was small.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to it's very, yeah. I'm going to wait for another couple of minutes until people, because it's still a small class and it's an upper level class. I usually approach these classes very different than I approach my big classes. I just finished teaching visual culture today, which has 120 students. So it's very, I'm at best times, I'm not very formal person. And this class is usually, I'm not I tried to kind of make it very informal and kind of just we're going to learn, we're going to explore and deal with things and kind of discover things, etc. So first of all, if you want to call me Alla, I'm very for it. That's my first name. Yeah, and you're, you know, you're my future colleagues. Hopefully you're gonna go further and do something else, and hopefully let me know how things are will be going. So yeah, so that's that. So the class is completely online. I wanted to be synchronous, at least until we can, and hopefully for the whole duration of the semester. I'm going to kind of, if people show up, I have 13 of you here now. So welcome to methods in art history. Art history 387. Course I think that we require if you are art history major, minor, and museum studies minor. So pretty much you are kind of stuck being here. If you it's probably one of the more challenging courses in terms of the philosophy part of that, but if you take in classes with Professor Bosch, nothing will scare you anyway, so then you should be fine. So this is a class where literally we study different approaches to analysis of art or visual culture. This is what we do. And my best explanation, very silly and mundane explanation for application of methodology is think about you're looking at the work of art, right? And you're going to wear different types of glasses. We can wear glasses that would tell us about, like, kind of think about a work of art from a feminist, use feminist approach. So we wear what? Pink, because we're silly. We're going to wear pink glasses and think about it from a point of view of the feminism. We're going to wear, I don't know, gray and look at the and look at formalism because it's very serious and I don't like formalism much. And so we and when we look at the work of art, and all of you have had, I'm sure, enough experience, like I know most of you, and I'm going to make you introduce yourself as well. You've had a lot of experience looking at art, writing essays about art, etc. So when we analyze a work of art, we privilege one particular aspect, usually, whatever it is, whatever we're interested in. In this course, what I would like us to do is to kind of be more aware and intentional about it. When we look at the work of art that say we like, we're going to note a lot of different things, but one thing will speak to us. Right, and this is the thing that you want to engage. So a good methodological paper, which we will read a lot of, will privilege that, but will also take into consideration everything else that was that relates to this work of art. So that's kind of, this is in a nutshell. My goal for this class, and I'm going to go over the syllabus in a second, but basically my goal for this class for you is to do two things. After you finish, when you read a text that deals with art, I want you to be able to kind of to understand what methodology this person is using. Some people are very clear, some people are completely not, some people use a lot of different things. But I want you to, if you sit down and think, you can kind of differentiate different methodologies that people have been using. This is one. Number two, when you write or you talk about a work of art, I want you to be aware of what methodology you are currently using. Okay, so kind of that's my kind of meta, like the big picture. All right, so what we're going to do today is this. I'm going to go over the syllabus. I'm going to then ask you to introduce yourselves. And then I'm going to kind of intro you to Vasari a little bit, kind of give you a preview, and then I'll let you go to kind of go over things and prepare for next time. So the way we're going to structure classes in general. So let me just get to this. One second, please. I'm looking for. Let's see if I can find it through here. Looking for the syllabus. Found syllabus. You're still. Okay. Can you see the syllabus now? Unmute and say if you don't. Yeah, I see a lot of. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Okay, so classes online. The way I want to do it is as following. I want to teach together. So I want us to be together from 4 to about 5:15. And then after that, every time I want to have individual meetings, like kind of checking in, talking about what you're doing. So I won't be able to do every week, meet with everyone, but I'm going to devise a schedule where I think I can meet with like half of the class one week and half of the class the other week or something like that. And we're going to, you will have to write quite a bit in this class. So we're going to go over your written work and kind of talk a little bit about that. This is probably the toughest class to teach online because the texts are very difficult. Some of them are more difficult than others, obviously, but it's not my favorite way of teaching that. The class, when I taught it in person, we talked a lot about different articles and kind of clarified as we went, and it was really good. Okay, so in addition to all that, I also have Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday office hours. They are right here. I sent you the information on the office hours, how to join. It's the one login for the whole semester. So I'm just hanging out next to my computer. So if you feel like you want to talk, please do. This is not a general education course. I need to make sure you understand that. If someone here who's looking for gen ed, this is not it. So just so you know. Kind of the learning outcomes, etc., are are here. These are more kind of, how would I put it? Learning outcomes that we provide to people above and tell them what we need to tell them. But I told you what my learning outcome is. I assume that you are fairly familiar with art at this point. So we're going to read and analyze and kind of think about different approaches to art. And I want you to be able to recognize those approaches. We're basically going, each week, we're going to kind of look at the different approach. Okay, so I'll come back to grading. I want you to show you the actual schedule and tell you how things are going to work. So this is our first week. We're here right now. Each week, I ask you to read at least 2 articles, sometimes more. Everything is posted on Canvas. You don't have to buy a textbook. All the articles are on Canvas. So after you read it, there are weeks most of the weeks that at the beginning, that you will see that there is a question or a series of questions that I'm asking you. So it's like a reading diary essentially. So for this week, the reading diary is asking you to read an article by Ernst Chris and Uta Kurz, the heroization of the artist in biography. And they are talking about how biographies of artists usually make artists into heroes, like literally, and why that happens. And I'm also asking you to read for next time, for this week, Giorgio Vasari's biography of Giotto. I also have there Michelangelo and Cimabue, but this is optional. And I think after you read Giotto, you'll be quite good. So, and then I ask you a question, and I'm asking you to write about like 1.5 to 2 pages. That's a blog, that's for next week. What are the tropes and conventions outlined by in the article by Chris and Kurz? Can you think of modern or contemporary examples of these tropes, right? So what are the kind of, so this is what we are going to do. And there almost every week has something like that. And that is part of your participation mark. Now, the other thing that I tried as much as possible do in gray so you can actually understand what's going on. These are kind of cumulative assignments that are taking you towards the end, towards your final assignment. Okay, so as usual, we're talking about the beginning, but we're thinking about the end. So for your final assignment, you will need to write a paper. But this paper, and probably unlike most papers that you've written before, this paper will be on one work of art. So when you're choosing this work of art, you're going to be choosing very wisely. You're going to be choosing a work of art that A, you like, and you're not going to be completely sick and tired of looking at that for the entire semester. B, it's well enough researched so that there is enough information about it. If you, and you have enough research to go by, and C, it's, you know, it's just generally kind of more complex enough work of art that allows you a kind of writing about it for good formal analysis, etc., etc. So, so it could be a painting, it could be a building, it could be a sculpture, it could be a piece of clothing, if you know, a piece of like kind of instrument, 3D or 2D. So this is for next time, you need to kind of do some brainstorming, and I don't mean for you to be completely sure, but I want you to be somewhat sure about what you're going to do. Okay, so and using, so what we are going to do throughout the semester then is to apply various methodologies to that work of art. So I'm going to first ask you to choose that work of art. When we talk about biography, I'm going to ask you to write the biography of the artist who created that work of art. I'm going to ask you to then create formal analysis of this work of art. You get the picture. And all these are outlined in gray on the syllabus with the week that they are due. So some of the things are due in week 6, some due in week 4, etc. And I'm obviously every time I'm going to kind of reinforce those and reintroduce and talk a little bit more about that. So that's kind of the gist of the work. In addition to this, I also want you to kind of present on one of the articles that we're going to read. So that's aside from that work of art. So, and I've posted like sign up for presentations on that. And there somewhere on the syllabus, I'm going to find it in a second, there is also a description of that. So the grading, so weekly reading, so the response blogs are 10%. So all these questions related directly to reading due the following, the week that the reading is due. So today I assign that, next week it's due. I'm asking you to submit it. I said here each answer is due by Tuesday by midnight, but no, I try to do it before. I want you to do it before class. So by 4 o'clock on Thursday would be great. Okay. Now your daily attendance. So if you show, there are 15 of you, and I know most of you, so I will know if you're not here. And if you're not here, I mean, if things happen, I understand. Once or twice is fine. If you can't attend, if something comes up, let me know. So your participation in the discussions, kind of being here, etc., is about 5%, and then 10% of the 15 here is class reading presentation. So once a semester, you're going to do all that, kind of summarize the reading, create questions, like talk about the biography of the writer who wrote that article, etc. So you do kind of in-depth analysis of that particular article. All the short papers that relate to your work of art and to your final essay, all of them together are worth 15%. In addition to that, you also need to do annotated bibliography of 10 to 12 items. Paper proposal and a thesis. Paper proposal is about 350 words, so about a page with maybe a little bit more. And all that is worth 15%. Now, very important, they just opened interlibrary loans. Anybody, if you don't know what that is, let me know. Okay. So we just got an email. Since, you know, we don't know how long we're going to be on campus, and we don't know anything at this point, I suggest that you, next week, spend some time choosing the work of art and start ordering interlibrary loan books for your work. Even if you change your mind, so what? So at least maybe you have time to scan it. We don't know. So again, it's open, use it, because I mean, we will do what we can, but generally, I really want you to do a very in-depth, really thorough research. So that's that. Then you're going to do a presentation. That's kind of towards the end of your research, of your paper, and then there is final essay. So I'm not doing the paper outline, because the short papers will kind of be paper outline. So for the final essay, you will have a lot of those short papers that I will mark, and I will tell you what is great and what can be improved, etc. So some of these papers you can literally cut and paste into your final essay. I don't mind that at all. That's why you are writing them. But you will have to concentrate. Remember, we talked about that. We're going to apply all these methodologies, but we're going to then concentrate on one that is very important. So you're still going to kind of to think about the thesis statement and which methodology works for your paper and for your work of art the best. And then I will talk about end of the semester wrap up, where you kind of collect everything that you've done that semester and create a little portfolio and submit it to me. But that's down the line. Okay, so that is pretty much all that relates to the syllabus. So we're going to work really, really hard until about mid-November, and then I'm going to kind of sit back and let you work on your presentations and papers and everything else, and I'll be there obviously to support you, to talk to you, to do everything, and I'll be here throughout the semester as well. All right, okay, so questions. Una.
You for the class assignment reading presentations, that's something that we're going to sign up for, and everyone's going to do an individual one?
Yeah.
Okay. And the sign up is on Canvas, you said?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
going to, I'll go on Canvas at some point today and show you where it is. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Any other questions?
There was a question someone posted in the chat.
Okay, hold on. I can't see the chat unless I don't share. Emily, do you want all the papers to be written in Chicago style? I use MLA. I have no preferences which you are using. As long as you're consistent and I kind of can realize that this is a style, which usually happens at that level anyways, that's fine. Whichever you want. It could be footnotes, endnotes, in-text citations. If you're more used to that, it doesn't matter, as long as you're consistent. Any other questions? Okay, so now it's you. I want you to introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about your major, your minor, kind of what you're maybe if you thought about what you're going to be doing after this, after you graduate. The scary, I know, scary thought and scary question. Nadal already closes her eyes. So if you want to talk about that, it's fine. If you don't, I'm not going to traumatize you at this point. Talk about the, your favorite work of art or the artist or the movement or something like that. So we're going to, whoever wants to start, just unmute yourself and let's go. And there was silence. Okay.
I can go.
Okay, thank you, brave person.
My name is Una. I am a history major with a museum studies minor. I'm a third-year student, and I have far less plans for my future than I probably should. I'm currently volunteering at a museum in my hometown, though, which I'm hoping to turn into an internship, because they promised they would give me college credit. They would do pretty much anything except pay me. So that'll be interesting. For the paintings, I haven't put a lot of thought into it, but I've always been very fond of this one artist named John Martin, who did like really big paintings of scenes of Paradise Lost and illustrations of the Bible. I saw a couple of his paintings in museums over the summer, and I just kind of fell in love with his style. And they're huge. They're like several feet across and high, and
I have
the
to look
detail
him
is
up. I
amazing.
don't know him. Yeah.
Yeah. He did like the Fields of Paradise, and I think Pandemonium of the Palace in Paradise Lost.
Contemporary? Is he contemporary?
He was in the 1840s, I want to say.
Okay, definitely not contemporary.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Look him up. Thank you. Okay. Usually third years when people kind of start thinking about like kind of what's going to happen after. For most people, in my experience, it doesn't happen until they're at the very last year when they're seniors. They're kind of like, okay, next year this time, what am I going to do? So, okay. Thank you, Una. Next.
I'll go next.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Bethany. I'm an art history major. I'm in my last year. I'm a senior. I know, like Rachel and a couple other people, I had to go on medical leave last year, but I'm back. Definitely feeling better, and I'm on campus. And if Natalie is right, we may be going home very soon, which is kind of a weird feeling because I'm like, I just moved in. I've got, my room to myself. As far as like a piece that I want to look at, I actually am really starting to get interested in the idea of like colonialism and cultural appropriation. So I want to look at Les Demoiselles d'Avignon as far as like that influence that that Picasso, or the influence that was put onto Picasso, as far as that goes. Because at the time, like, he didn't think anything of it. But I'm also interested in the idea of like, what's the difference between cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation, and how where do we and how do we define the difference between them? Where you see something from another culture and you say, oh, hey, that's really cool. I love where this is coming from. And, expressing it or using it as part of your own expression, but not saying like, I'm not stealing it. I'm adopting it. It's like, where is that difference? And I know like recently, like Adele was spotted with like Bantu knots in her hair and everyone's like, oh my God, she stole it. It's cultural appropriation. I'm like, is it? If she's calling them Bantu knots and she knows where it's coming from, it's not, that's not appropriation, that's appreciation. And I'm like, it's a really good hairstyle to have in the summer because your hair is out of the way and your scalp can breathe. It's like, but like, where is that difference coming from? As far as like future plans, it's grad school, and I took the GREs a couple weeks ago. Did pretty good with those. But as far as like being able to really focus on and study colonialization, and to also have an experience, because my education has been very East Coast, very kind of like Western European influence. So I'm like, I need to step away from that. I need to be as far away from that as I can be, but I'm still kind of wanting to stay in the States. But the University of Hawaii at Manoa has a great program for colonialization, and they also have a lot of like modern art. And Allah, that is because of you. You have like fostered that, because I've taken so many classes with you, and I love basically anything that's like post Rococo. I love. So that's kind of the plan right now. That is, if it's safe to get on a plane. Because yeah, that's how you get to Hawaii. There's no 6-lane highway, unfortunately.
No.
But yeah, that's kind of where I'm right now. And I'm excited to be back on campus and like back in the school mindset, because I was, I was kind of in quarantine before quarantine because I couldn't leave the house. So I've kind of been shut away for like a year. So I'm excited to be back.
Great. Yes, I'm excited to have you here. I was really happy to see. And yeah, great plans, both for the artwork and the future. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Next.
I guess I'll go.
Okay,
Um,
Emily.
My name is
Oh,
Natalie.
Natalie. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
okay, go.
My name is Natalie. I'm a third-year student, but because I was stupid in high school, I took 36 credits during my high school career. So I'm graduating in May, and I am panicking because all of the stuff that I thought I had 2 years left to do, I only have about a couple of months left to do. So yeah, it's really great. I'm a history major with a museum studies minor. So this year is going to be super busy, as you already know, Ala, because I've already emailed you in a panic saying, oh my God, I only have like 13 credits left after this semester, help. So that's been really fun. Totally not constantly on the verge of a mental breakdown, thinking about what life is going to be like after this year. I want to go to grad school, preferably down in Virginia or Maryland. For my history degree, I'd like to work in museums doing research, ideally writing a lot and reading a lot and publishing, hopefully. So yeah, I am back on campus in my really shitty apartment, pardon my language, but it's kind of true. but hopefully, you know, the dumb frat boys won't ruin it for everybody, but they kind of might. But you know what? I paid rent, so I'm not leaving anyway, because that's a lot of money to just get rid of. But yeah, this semester is going to be super, super busy. And I haven't really had a chance to even think about what kind of artist I want to look at yet, because I've been sending out so many grad school emails, reaching out to professors all over the country, trying not to panic about the fact that I'm graduating in May. So yeah,
Don't panic. Well, it's gonna be. We'll figure it out.
I'm only 19. Like, I was already gonna graduate really young because my birthday's in October. So I was gonna be 21 graduating in 2022, and now I'm only gonna be 20. And I'm gonna like go to grad school. My classmates will be like, "Oh, let's go out for drinks." I'm gonna be like, "I can't. I'm not even legal yet."
Okay, so it's no joke, because I was just talking to my friends, and like my grad school career started at the bar and finished at the bar. Anyway, it's a lot of drinking, and well, mind you, I did it in Canada. Canadians are a little different about like kind of drinking with students, but still. So think about it. Now, it also makes me think, Natalie, does that mean that you were 17 when you took my 174?
Yeah, I turned 18 while I took your class.
Darn, and I show so much nudity there.
It's not anything I hadn't seen before, okay? I went to a
I
very risque high school.
Still, technically, I shouldn't. Okay. Oh, all right. Well, that's past. That's what under the.
Natalie, I'm at the other end of that because I'm going to turn 40 in March. It's easier for me to be on campus than do the commute. I'm like, I ain't doing it. So
honestly, though, good for you for like going back to school.
Yeah, it's a little crazy because like I see everybody, I'm like infant.
Every year, you people become younger and younger from my perspective, but yeah, because I get older, students just get younger. All right.
I also like eyelash this morning. Eyelash. No.
I'm sorry for laughing. It's just I'm in the same boat. I showed up at Geneseo with 45 credits.
It's so bad.
It's like yeah. And the only reason I'm not graduating in May is because I mistimed my history credits. So I have to take another semester.
You're so lucky. Honestly, you're so lucky.
It's so good to have you people here, though. It's so nice to have, to have that. I know it's kind of like Una is doing that kind of laugh of empathy, but also kind of slightly, slightly.
As long as I'm laughing, I'm not panicking. Just
no, don't panic. Listen, we've been through a lot. Emily Benton wanted to talk. I saw your hand, so let's turn to you. Tell us about yourself.
I'm Emily. I'm a junior, so third year student. I'm a chemistry and art history major. As evident by my majors, I plan on going into like historical conservation, preservation. So I have a lot of grad school ahead of me. I'm probably going to take a gap year doing various internships because a lot of grad schools for that program require like lots of experience in the field already. So we're going to see about that. I have you from my other class, and I mentioned that I do love the Dutch Masters. Like, I love the Dutch Masters. My favorite artist, I can't even start, but I do love Vermeer quite a bit.
Right, you talked about that. Right, yes. Okay.
Yeah, I love Vermeer.
So maybe Vermeer is going to be your person.
Maybe. I really love him. He's great.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, Emily, I'm going to go to Olivia here because I don't know if you know each other, but you should be talking.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I need like your email or something because we have to be in contact. But I'm a senior chem and art history major, going into conservation, hopefully applying to grad school in February. I'm in my second like pre-program internship at a furniture restoration place that's about like 10 minutes away, so that's really cool. And I think like I would want to focus like I want to apply to the University of Amsterdam, which is so funny that like we're Dutch liking people, and I think I would want to focus on a Dutch artist and maybe a work that had been like conserved over there, that I can focus on the conservation research parts of it, because I think I could use it even as my sample writing when it comes to my application, like all that sort of stuff. So I think that's my game plan. I'm excited for this class because I think it's going to help me sort out my portfolio and all that stuff. So yeah, that's about it.
Wow. Okay. I need to learn more about your current internship. I'm very curious about that. But yeah, great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. Ryan. Goodness.
So pretty similarly to Olivia, I'm actually pursuing the like 2-2 grad degree at the University of Amsterdam in Vree. It's fully taught in English, curatorial studies. Yeah, so that's the goal for me. So I figured that'd be a pretty good segue to go into my intro. Senior art history major at Geneseo, but we'll see how long that lasts. And yeah, that's pretty much about it.
You stayed in Genesee. I remember talking to you. You stayed through the whole lockdown last time.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal, especially when you live underneath a jail. It's quite strange.
What is gel?
Like there's a prison, like a holding cell right at the top of the hill, and I live right underneath that in the meadows. So it's
No.
spooky. It's directly in my backyard. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was very dark during quarantine, but it is what it is. We made it here. It's sunny out now.
I would be so much more understanding. No, I'm joking. Oh boy. Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, it's great that you decided to go to Amsterdam and you applying there. So yeah. Wow. That's great. Okay. Next, who wants to continue? Azul.
Hi, my name is Azul. I am a junior art history major, museum studies minor. Much like other people, I'm not really sure when my graduation date is because I'm 80% done with my requirements, but I've also heard absolutely nothing about graduating early. So that's that. For future plans, definitely grad school. Want to go to Columbia so badly. And there's this program in Columbia where it's like you get a dual master's in art history from both Columbia University and the Sorbonne in Paris. And that's my dream. Absolutely my dream. As for art pieces, I always start these classes with 1,000 ideas in mind and never know what to answer for this at all because I love a bunch of things and I've thought about 1,000 things. There is one thing that I considered, but I probably won't use it. When there's this piece of, there's this object at the Met called the Metternich Stela. It's in the Egyptian gallery.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the oldest and most well-preserved medical tablets from the ancient era. And I thought about doing that, but then I was like, I don't really know. That's what I got.
Check the sources because look, if you decide to do that, let me be very honest, I don't have enough background to guide you through. I know, I've done my ancient Egypt at some point, but I've never touched it since I finished grad school. So if you have enough.
The reason I considered it is because I did a little bit of research on it before. I did a gallery walk based on it, like a presentation in the gallery. Project. So I had done something on it, which is why I thought of it, but I probably won't go in that direction, but it is a possibility.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. Next. Anybody? Yeah. Mercedes.
Hey, my name's Mercedes, like Alla said. I am an art history major. My life plan changes almost daily at this point, which is really bad, but I'm getting it together eventually. One of my favorite artists or architects really, is Antoni Gaudi. I fell in love with his work in Barcelona, and it's all over my house now. And I hope one day to have like an Art Nouveau, Art Deco house of my own.
Okay. So maybe Gaudi, maybe we'll look into that, possibly. Can hear you.
Sorry. It's a possibility. We'll see how well it works out for this project, but
Sounds good. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Next. Okay, Ireland.
Hi, I'm Ireland. I actually just wanted to like transfer into mine right now because my favorite piece is actually The Kiss by Klimt, and I saw it in the back of Mercedes. So like I actually just bought these socks too. I thought they were pretty cool. So
Yes.
yeah, that was good. But yeah, I'm a senior art history major, and my future plans at the moment, I'm actually pursuing an internship either in New York City or London based right now. I'm kind of still in the contact process. And then hopefully grad school in Europe after that. So we'll see. But
Cool. Okay. Wonderful. Yeah. Love the socks. Okay. Next. Rachel.
So my name is Rachel. I'm a senior art history major with a museum studies minor. My plans for after Geneseo is to go to law school because my biggest art history interest is repatriation. If you guys have taken 205, that is by far my favorite class and has made me take this route. I did a big paper on it with Bosch last semester, and it's really what I want to do. But as far as my art subject matter interests, I've recently gotten into Maurizio Catalan, who taped the banana on the wall, but I really like his work in general, as well as Damien Hirst. So I'm kind of thinking about doing them for my paper, but I know that they're both alive and that might be kind of hard. They might not have that much like information on them.
Damien Hirst probably does have quite a bit.
Yeah,
I would look into that, but yeah. See what you. Yeah, so I heard about the law school plans, so that's very exciting. We're all going to use you then once you graduate and
Yeah.
work. We're going to ask you to do everything and consult us all. So yes, please, we need one lawyer.
I'll
in
let you know if your work is stolen or not.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, next we've got. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Amanda. I am a senior Spanish adolescent education major with a minor in art history. And this is my last semester of classes because next semester I'm doing student teaching. So this is my last chance to take more classes. And for grad school, I do want to pursue more on the art history side. So I'm looking for schools like in the Boston area for art history and like museum studies, because I'd like to work at a museum in the future.
Okay.
For yeah, and for artworks that I really like the old Italian, so like Botticelli and artists like that. So I might work on something like that.
Okay. Yep. Are you also TAing this semester for Professor Tooth?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, great. Wonderful. Nice to meet you. We haven't met yet, so that's great. Okay. I've got Jacob and Emily. Okay, Emily, go.
I'm Emily. I'm an English major with an art history minor. I don't really know what I'm going to do yet in the future, but for art, I've always been drawn to post-impressionism and Van Gogh. So this is kind of basic, but my favorite painting's The Starry Night.
Yeah, you did the paper for my 278, which
Yeah.
unfortunately finished very, very abruptly, kind of. But yeah, you did a really good paper. Okay, wonderful. Okay, Jacob, talk to us.
Sorry, trying to figure out Zoom. This is literally my first Zoom call. So, but I'm Jake. I'm a history major and museum studies minor. I'm a fourth-year senior, and my favorite painting and artist, I guess, is Francisco Goya's Las Caprichas. So I guess it's a series, but yeah.
Okay. So Francisco Goya, Las Caprichas. Yes. And Theo.
Hi, I'm Theo. I'm an art history major. This is my senior year. I was just a math major last fall, so I have some catching up to do. My favorite artists, I think, are Dali and Alexander Calder. I'm not really sure what I want to do in the future, but right now I really want to graduate this year. So.
Manageable goals, manageable goals.
Yeah.
It's good. Oh gosh, what a change from math to art history.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, wonderful. All right, I think I got yeah, so that's all of you. It's so exciting. I really I think we're going to have really good time doing things and talking about things. Okay, so what are we, where are we at? Okay, so I'm going to share screen, and I'm going to take you through Canvas just very briefly, just to show you what I got there. Some of you probably had seen it as well. So let me see if I can. Okay, so we're in week 1, so we are going to, again, this is week 1, this is what you are doing for next week. This is the kind of overview introduction right here. You've got the same that you have on the syllabus. This is the link to the reading. And these are 2 links to the other readings. I think I have three links, sorry, 3 links to all the reading. Again, I only want you to read Giotto. Look at the Michelangelo maybe a little bit. If you don't have time for Cimabue, that's fine. You will get the idea. So going back to modules. This is a PowerPoint that I want you to go over. It's fairly short. Essentially, it gives you in the quick introduction from into art theory or philosophy of art, whatever you want to call it, from ancient Greek philosophy to Vasari. And it's like super quick and super introductory, because I want us to kind of to move to the 20th century pretty quickly. So these are the readings, and then for the here's the thing that may or may not work for some of you. So let me just show you what I have here. So this is the blog, this is the assignment, but the way you submit the assignment, I'm trying it out. If it doesn't work, I'm going to take it off, and we're not going to even bother with that. So I'm using a software called Perusal. And what that does is, this is the reading, this is legend, myth, and magic that you have to do for this week. So what it does, if you click on that, once you register, it's free. You can highlight and kind of talk to each other, or to ask me questions as you read. So if that works, great, do that. If you don't feel like doing all that, go back to the old style, download the article or read the article that way. It's up to you. You will submit the assignment next week regardless. So if you want to, when you do it from Canvas, you register once and it takes you here, and then you read the material from here. And the point is that you can kind of, the reading becomes more social. You highlight, you talk about it, you annotate if you want, but you also see other people doing that. So so that's kind of And again, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Okay, so that's what I got here. This is the sign up for reading presentation. So you go through the syllabus, decide which one you want to do. And this is a Google Doc, so it will change and adjust as you go. Finally, because we're doing Vasari, and Vasari is very much about biography of the artist and very much about glorification of the artist. This is optional. It's a video about Van Gogh and kind of idea of the, it's not a video, sorry, it's a podcast about kind of how our society sees, constantly talks about Van Gogh as genius, as the suffering genius. It is about, probably about 40 minutes long. It's pretty easy to listen to. And pretty interesting. So if you, again, and there are a lot of these things here that on Canvas that I identify as optional. So if you have time, if you are more into that, do that. If that's not something that you know, not your thing, it's fine. Okay. Any questions? Okay, if we don't have questions, I'm going to then last thing for today is this. Can you see Giorgio Vasari? Yes? Okay, so yeah, thank you. So I'm going to just give you kind of intro to Giorgio Vasari here, and kind of talk a little bit about why he's so important. We're essentially, he's often credited with the foundation of the discipline. If you ask who is the father of art history, very often scholars would say Giorgio Vasari. Everything that happened before, like Plato, Aristotle, they talk about art in general, but usually they don't talk about visual arts. They talk about music, they talk about theater, a lot about theater, dance even, but not about visual art. Vasari privileges visual art, mainly fresco and architecture. So we think about him as a founder of art history. So Vasari, Vasari himself was a very prolific Florentine artist. He was born in Arezzo, and he was kind of discovered in his latest edition of the lives of the artists that you're going to read. He also includes his own biography. So Vasari was a son of the vase maker, so essentially ceramicist, and an artist who Luca Giordano was kind of going by and working in Arezzo for a very short time, and he saw how great Vasari was at painting and drawing, and he told his father that, you know, you should send your son to Florence because he has future. And he did. And Vasari was incredibly well connected. He had that ability. You know how some people can really network? That was Vasari. He was really knew how to connect. So he got very, very important commissions. One of them is, if you've been to Florence, or you probably heard of Uffizi Gallery, he designed the building. He is the architect of the Uffizi Gallery in Florence. He also created frescoes in Florence in their city hall, Palazzo Vecchio. And finally, at the end of his life, he helped to found the Academy of Arts, one of the first ones in Florence. So in addition to being the author, you know, it's like Renaissance meant for you. In addition to writing being a father of art history, he was also successful artist and successful architect and successful academician. Makes us all wonder. So we're studying him still because he did this. He did Lives of the Artists. That book that the first edition of that was in 1550. And he dedicated it to Cosimo di Medici. I have a link on Canvas for this week on Traveling with Vasari. It's a documentary. It's the first part of the two-part documentary, about an hour, and it tells you a little bit about Vasari as an artist, and also kind of delineates like why he did and what he did, why he wrote the lives. It's really interesting. I really think you should watch it. It's a really great also kind of for understanding. Because when you read that, you'll see, next week we'll talk, it's a very different, the writing is very different. And then 18 years later, he created a different version, kind of enlarged and revised edition. And he essentially brought that version, it covers also early 16th century and mid 16th century. So the life itself, and I'm basically talking about the latest version, divided into 3 parts. Each part has a preface, and the prefaces really outline how Vasari feels about each part corresponds to to the period of Renaissance art. The first part is the outline of history of art, and it's drawn from the antiquity to the first artists of the Renaissance, which he decided were Cimabue and Giotto. Second part discusses artists of the 15th century before the great ones, you know, before Leonardo and Raphael and Michelangelo. So those are Masacci, Piero della Francesca, and Mantegna, and many others. And third part presents the highest peak of the Renaissance, and he doesn't spare the words there. And he talks about Leonardo, Raphael, and Michelangelo as these 3 giants of Renaissance. So when we study Renaissance, and when I studied Renaissance for sure, that's how we studied Renaissance. And I did not study it in the 16th century. So in what I'm trying to say is that Vasari's definition and Vasari's kind of chronology became classic, became accepted way of analyzing and understanding what Renaissance is and how we divide it. We start, when I studied Renaissance, we started with Cimabue, and we talked about Giotto as proto-Renaissance or early Renaissance, and then we got to 15th century to that kind of early Renaissance, etc. So he started that division, and we continue on. We did not challenge his kind of periodization that much. So why did he write that? We think, although there are you read that and the way he talks about it is that he just loves art and these are God-given most important people. But we understand in reading between the lines, and what we think is this: we think that he wanted to promote his native Tuscany, because he mainly writes about Florentine artists and artists who live in Tuscany. When he writes about artists who live in Venice, and Venice is, as you know, probably at that time is an incredible place for Renaissance art. He's kind of very, very disparaging, and he thinks that those artists are nothing special. He wants to advance the status of the artist, and that is in the reading that you're going to do by Christian Kurz. That is that they talk about that. So he's very interested in advancing status of the artist from artisan to someone who is a figure of the society, an intellectual, but also an economic. And he talks a lot about artists as being intellectual, being knowledgeable, but also artists as being wealthy, as getting money for his work, which is also very important for Vasari. And he's looking for fame. He's not even ashamed to say that he is looking for fame. So if we think about, you know, medieval, the status of the artist during medieval times, we know that the artists mainly were either members of the guild. They would go from place to place very often. They were considered craftspeople. They were not considered to be kind of the people of the higher classes. They were working class almost. So he's trying to, and he's very successful in changing that. And finally, it's insane that he did that, but he's also, he takes all these years. It took him like something like 10 years to write the lives of the artists, because he wants to put his own work in the context of greatness of the time. He creates the context for his own work. So he's essentially, I'm the artist, right? He's the artist, and he creates all this genealogy that goes back to show how much he advanced and how much he is, who he is, and how he built up from all these earlier artists, which is kind of very, very interesting as well. Then there is the other important thing that we need to kind of consider is that he's bringing to our attention is the role of the patron. And again, he's the first time, for the first time, actually saying the patron has responsibility. And they have responsibility to the artist. And this is a quote from him: "Those rare men of genius who create priceless work and who live not merely unrewarded, but in circumstances of wretched poverty." Essentially, he's saying, listen, if you want to enjoy art, you need to pay for it, and you need to really support artists. So that resonates up to today so well. We need it still. So he's the first time. Sorry?
He wasn't wrong.
Yeah, he was not wrong. He was really, this is very, very important, because at the commission, like the money that you would get paid as an artist varied so greatly. You could work for pittance, or you could work for a lot of money, depending which commission and where. So he's trying to kind of to bring the status and kind of indicate that. And probably the most important part is this idea of the individual, the role of the person in the creating art. So lives confirm the primacy of the individual in creating art. If in Middle Ages we barely even knew the names, and very often we don't know the names. In Renaissance we clearly know the names thanks to Vasari in many ways. Art has their own internal cycle, he says. So similar to the artist's life, the art itself also has internal cycle: childhood, adolescence, maturity, old age. He concentrates completely on the lives of the artists. There is no historical context there. Wars or kind of relationship between countries, inventions of any kind, anything like that, completely out. He only talks about art and artists. And each life includes a detailed study of the works produced using techniques of connoisseurship. So connoisseurship is the knowledge of the minute details of the artist. So if you're a connoisseur, you would know, for example, that this work, you can identify works of art. Have anybody seen a show called Fake or Fortune? No? It's insane. Okay, so it's on YouTube. I think it's on YouTube, but it's also, I think, on Netflix. If you have a chance, just watch one. It's an hour, but so the premise of the show is this. There are two art dealers / connoisseurs, probably, I think in London. And if you have a work of art where you need to authenticate kind of whether or not it's original, you contact them. So recently I saw one, for example, on Degas. So a woman has her family thinks it's Edgar Degas, but she wasn't sure. So she talks to these two people, and these two people kind of they establish, then they take it on, they establish the provenance of the work, where the work came from. They talk to a conservator or someone who knows kind of about pigments and materials of the time. Then they follow up with the gallerist who sold the work, whatever it is. They follow it all, and then they come up with this whole kind of analysis, and based on that they decide whether or not it's original. It's kind of fun to watch. So what I'm trying to say is that more often than not, towards the end of the show, it comes down to what they call stylistical analysis, or I would call it connoisseurship, where they invite an art historian or like a curator who spent their whole life working on that particular artist. And they look at this work and they take it on, they do some research, and they decide based on just looking at the style of the work and how the work was done, whether or not it's original. So that's the idea of the connoisseurship, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So Vasari is the ultimate connoisseur, because he, well, not only he knows who did that, but he also kind of creates, he talks about that, he talks about the style, and he explains why this particular work belongs to the hand of, say, Masaccio. Questions, comments, ideas? Okay, so I had this. Yeah, so I talked about fake or fortune. So connoisseurship involves the acquisition of the extensive first-hand experience of work of art with the aim of attributing works to artists and schools, identifying styles and establishing sources and influences, and kind of judging their quality. So this is what connoisseurship is. So for Vasari, not for us, for Vasari, the main criteria, the main criterion for judging quality of work, how well the work had been, like how well the artist did or not very well, truth to nature, realism, naturalism, not realism that in modern art, but naturalism, how naturalistic it is. Now, when we get to Raphael, Michelangelo, and Leonardo da Vinci, so the golden age of art, he changes his criteria and he talks about surpassing nature. So a really great word, he essentially claims that these three surpassed nature, whatever that means. It's more realistic than nature. And you know, we can have a discussion, is that even possible? But you know what I mean, it's just really, he thinks it's so realistic, it's so naturalistic, it's so beautiful and harmonious that they are great. Those are great works. So there's a division to the successive stages, three stages. And I want to kind of quickly demonstrate you what they are. So this is Giotto, Marriage of the Virgin from 1305. So this is what Vasari says. It's not necessarily that is true, but this is what Vasari says. That he's saying, okay, this is early Renaissance, proto-Renaissance. because the drapes are here, but the people that are in the in profile, the forms are sharply outlined. The people don't interact with each other that much, and they are not integrated into the building where the scene takes place. So because of that, he says, that is early Renaissance. Okay, sorry, I'm pixelated. In Masaccio, he says, okay, so this is the 15th century that he's like, according to him, it's getting better. So Masaccio, the poses and the drapery are more varied. The outlines are more open, and the figures are more convincingly kind of inserted into the space and architecture. So we know, we kind of studied that. Vasari does it for the first time. And then finally, Michelangelo. Basically, Vasari thinks that Michelangelo is a god, simply put. In Michelangelo, the poses are serpentine, so they're kind of very varied and free. The outline even more varied, and the figures integrated in the space that they move, and it is just for him unbelievable. So this is the progression. This is what we see as the progression. Now, is that true? Well, we are looking at that from right now, because Vasari is so influential. We're looking at this already with kind of knowledge of Vasari without even knowing about Vasari. The subject matter of the three frescoes that I show you is different. The Giotto is more solemn, and the Masaccio is more dramatic, and Michelangelo is the kind of, it's a solemn ritual, but it presented as a dramatic event. So we like, can we compare completely between three? I don't know. The location is also different. Giotto and Masaccio is on the wall, and Michelangelo is part of the ceiling. So it's farther away. It's a different kind of, when he painted that, he had to make the figures much more expressive, because people had to see it from far away. So hard for us to compare that way. But nevertheless, he considered to be the founder of the history of art. And the last thing I'm going to leave you with is this. People who study Renaissance think that Vasari both brilliant and the most annoying in the universe. He's brilliant because he did all this work, he studied everything, and he wrote it. Now, when he writes, the problem is that you cannot really differentiate truth from fiction. He completely combines it all together. And I think he was one of those people that really did not differentiate. If it seemed true to him, that must be true, you know. So it's really, really tough to kind of to see what is what. And therefore, it's amazing that he documented that, but it's really incredibly difficult to know if it's true or not true. So that's Vasari for you. So questions, ideas, issues. Okay, so I'm going to finish that part. Please read Giotto, read the article, do the work. Email me if you have any questions. Watch that video about Vasari. It's pretty entertaining. Not every art historian that we're going to study is as colorful a figure as Vasari, so enjoy. Because some of them are less on the more boring side, I would say. And if Una.
So there's the reading, and do we have there's also, is the writing assignment due before next class?
Yes. Okay. The writing assignment is due, so for next class, writing assignment, and and kind of more, you know, still you can still be iffy, but do think about the work of art that you're going to be doing. Okay, so this is in terms of like just kind of concrete. The rest is kind of reading and watching things. Okay, yeah. Emily?
For the blog assignment, I read the question. In the second part of the question, you asked for contemporary examples of like the heroic sort of depiction of artists. Do you just want like basic like contemporary examples in like fiction, or are you looking for more biographical examples of modern artists?
Yeah, more biographical, like factual on what you know. And when I say contemporary, I mean contemporary is a very, very broad thing. Like if you want to talk about Dutch artists, that's good too. But how do we nowadays, like Van Gogh is the example, right? We completely mythologize him. Who else we potentially mythologize? It could be an artist, it could be a celebrity, it could be a writer, but could be historical. But just kind of think about that and how we go about like creating these myths. Stephanie?
Yeah, because I started reading it, and I remember reading it from last semester too. They don't, I think they actually predate Joseph Campbell and the monomyth, but they kind of start hitting some of those points. I've done a lot of like literary you know, assessment and things, and I'm obsessed with the whole hero's journey. I love it. So looking at it, it's like they're like, it does start to comply. And one thing that I was kind of remembering, like whenever the Olympics happen, there's always like the intro. So like if you go onto YouTube and you do like Olympics intro and put in a year that it happened, the little video that they put together, it is very mythologizing of the athletes that are in it. And you look at like, I mean, he's kind of fallen a little bit in the eyes of the public, but you look at Tiger Woods when he started in the mid 90s, and I'm old enough to remember that when that happened, it's like he was mythologized, that he was a child prodigy. It's not hard to find examples. Like I was just reading it and writing my notes. I'm like, oh yeah, it happens here, it happens here, it happened. Like we want to do that. We want, like, just as human beings, we want to make these folk heroes.
Yeah, we do. I mean that's not necessarily where like if you want to do an athlete, I'm not really against that. I would rather you go for some cultural icon personally, but it's fine. I just want us to think about kind of that idea of cultural producer as a myth, as someone who's kind of we respect and we refer to all the time. Does that make sense? Or did we confuse you even more?
No, it made sense. It made sense.
Yeah, okay.
I just have another quick one. Do you also want, I was reading through the essay questions one last time, and it said that the biography, the annotated bibliography is also due by week 2. Do you want all 15 sources and things?
No, I'm sorry. That is not clear there. What I want you to do for next week is to see if there is if you can find 10 sources, or preferably more. I don't want you to get them or annotate them or nothing. I just want you to when you choose a work of art, you need to know that there is enough research there. So I want you to know that there's got to be, I would go for at least 15, because chances are you won't be able to get all of them, right? So that's the idea. So make sure, I will ask you at some point, like I think in week 4, I'll ask for a list of that, and then we annotate it later.
Okay, so it's not something we're turning in, it's just like double checking that what we want to do has enough.
You're doing it for yourself, yeah, right now.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? I'm around. Email me if you have questions. Saturday and Sunday, I want to think that I may be away from the computer and have life, but usually I'm still checking things and doing things. And if you don't get an email from me for a day, email again, please. Like, especially this semester, it's really tough for us. But yeah, I try to stay on top. If not, I don't get offended. If you want to kind of remind me, please do. Okay. All right. I will say goodbye until next Thursday. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you all next time.